Hello everybody, I am Karryshh and today I'm taking on a Taiwanese horror thriller movie. This story isn't complex, it's more like a murder mystery. The movie is called Kidnapped Soul and it's about a mother who will go beyond the natural laws to find her kidnapped daughter. To be honest, you're safe with just watching the recap unless you're really into Taiwanese horror. It was just an okay watch. But I'm here fulfilling my duty as a YouTuber, providing you with an interesting recap and save your time. Now if you're new, subscribe, like and share. Follow me on Instagram to chat personally. Watch the video till end cause I did put in work to make this video. Now sit back and relax as a recap, Kidnapped Soul, Taiwanese movie. The story begins with a red bag floating down a river. Later that night, some people find the bag, but when they see what's inside, they immediately call the police. Inside was a dead body of a little girl who had clearly been unalived a long time ago. Then we cut to a girl named Dong Do and her mother Lee. Lee is a single mother who takes great care of her daughter because she constantly worries that someone might try to kidnap her. Now why she worries that, it's not clear, but we're just gonna assume that Lee is just an over-caring mother. Meanwhile, a team of detectives is working on the little girl murder case. That's where we meet Detective Kuang and his partner Luo, who are both assigned as lead investigators on this case. The two detectives go to the river where the body was found, but they don't find any solid clues there. Kuang tells Luo that he has an aunt who practices witchcraft and she might be able to help him. Now normally Luo doesn't believe in stuff like that, but Kuang insists and drag him along anyway. Then at the auntie's house, we find out that she lives with her son, and after the detectives explain the entire case, she tries to contact the little girl's spirit. During the seance, she gets a vision showing that before the girl was unalived, she had been held somewhere in an abandoned looking village. However, the aunt cannot communicate clearly with the spirit. They also find a strange piece of paper with the girl's body, but no one can figure out what this means yet. Luo also gets mad with Kuang because his aunt was no use. The scene then shifts back to Lee and Dong Do. Dong Do goes out to play with a puppy while Lee was working because she was a teacher, but when Lee gets off work, she goes to look for her daughter, but now her daughter is nowhere to be found. Lee panics, searches everywhere but she couldn't find her. Eventually she goes home and there she gets a call from an unknown man. He tells her that he has kidnapped Dong Do. Obviously, Lee was ready to do anything to save her daughter, but surprisingly, the kidnapper doesn't want money. Instead, he starts a 48-hour countdown and traps Dong Do inside a huge sand clock, meaning that in the next 48 hours, the sand will slowly drop over Dong Do, and when the time runs out, she will suffocate and die. He says that this is the punishment for something Lee did to him a year ago, but Lee has no idea what he's talking about. Now desperately, Lee calls Detective Luo, who also happens to be her older brother. She tells him everything and Luo rushes straight to her house. Luo calls Kuang and asks him to trace the number that the kidnapper used. Meanwhile, Luo goes to the school where Dong Do disappeared. He checks the security cameras and finds a footage of a man who was deliberately avoiding the cameras. The guy also had a white van, and after asking around, Luo realizes that the man is actually the janitor of that school. Soon after investigating, Luo gets the number of that white van and he goes to the company where the car was bought from. From there, he learns that the kidnapper's name is Huang. Luo now sends all the information to Kuang, who quickly pulls up Huang's full detail online. Now what was strange was that Huang wasn't some criminal. He was just a regular guy, but a year ago, his own daughter had gone missing and she was never found. That's when Lee remembers that last year, she moved into a new building and that's where Huang's family used to live as well. Now you see, Lee weren't really close with Huang's family, but coincidentally, the day Lee moved into that house where Huang's family used to live, that same day Huang's daughter was kidnapped. Now even with this information, nobody could understand why Huang would kidnap Dong Do. But then Huang sends Lee a video showing her daughter trapped inside the sand clock, with the sand already starting to bury her. After this, Luo, now armed with all this information, goes to Huang's house. The door is opened by Huang's wife, Chen, who lets him inside. She was clearly depressed. She has been that way ever since their daughter went missing. Chen soon starts lashing out at Luo. She was mad because it's been a whole year and the police still haven't found her child. Her daughter's name was Peng and she disappeared right from inside their home, meaning the kidnapper had taken her from inside the house itself. In the past, Chen had searched everywhere but never found her daughter, and she was still living in that pain. Hearing all this, Luo can't bring himself to question her further and decides to leave. That night, Huang comes home to his heartbroken wife, who's even sadder than usual because today was Peng's birthday. Huang was miserable too, but to cheer up his wife, he brings home a cake to celebrate Peng's birthday. The two try to mark the day together, but it was just painful, and Chan couldn't take it, so she walks away. The next morning, Huang wakes up to find police outside his house. He kisses his wife goodbye and slips out, trying to stay out of sight from Luo. But eventually, Luo and Huang corner him. Now here finally, Huang runs. And after a long chase, he ends up on the roof of a building, standing by the edge. He confesses that yes, he kidnapped Dong Duo, but he also reminds the police that his own daughter has been missing for a year, yet they did nothing. Huang doesn't say why he kidnapped Dong Do, but moments later he jumps off the roof. Huang is soon rushed to the hospital right away, but meanwhile, his wife Chen finds a letter he left behind. In it, he wrote that he couldn't live without his daughter. It becomes clear that Huang had planned to unalive himself all along. Heartbroken, Chen breaks down crying, and soon after, Huang dies in the hospital. After the final confirmation of his death, Chen rushes to the hospital and she collapses on the floor, sobbing brutally. Just then, Li arrives at the hospital. She had heard that Huang was dead, and it means he had taken Dong Do's location with him to the grave. No one knew where her daughter was now, and furious and desperate, Li grabs Chen and demands to know where Dong Do is, but Chen has no idea. The detectives pull Li away, but both women are now completely shattered. Later, Luo goes back to Huang's house to look for clues. In Peng's room, he finds a doll with button eyes that look exactly like the symbols drawn on that strange piece of paper they found on the girl's body in the river. That's when Luo starts to suspect that maybe the body they found inside that red bag might actually be Peng. Still, no one knows where Dong Do is. Anyway, Li believes in spiritual things, and that's why she wanted to go back to Kuang's aunt's house. They all go to the auntie's house, and Luo apologizes to the aunt for his earlier behavior, and then Li explains everything about her missing daughter. The aunt promises to do her best to find Dong Do, and then she begins her ritual. She tries to contact Huang's spirit, and suddenly the water in the pond freezes. The candles blew out, and moments later, Huang's spirit possesses the auntie. The spirit couldn't move from her body, but through her, Huang starts accusing Li of being responsible for his daughter's death. Li was shocked as she insists that she didn't do anything. But then, Huang's spirit finally reveals what actually happened. You see, a year ago when Li and Dong Do were moving into the building where Huang used to live, something strange happened. That day, everything was chaos for Li. And during that time, the kidnapper came to the door, and the kidnapper told Li that he was actually Huang who lives on the 5th floor. So she opened the door, unknowingly letting the kidnapper inside, and that's how the kidnapper kidnapped Peng. The kidnapper's face never appeared on the camera either, cause Li's moving trucks had blocked the security cameras that day. Now when Li realizes this truth, she tearfully apologizes to Huang's spirit, but he refuses to forgive her. Now the only way to make things right and to possibly find Dong Do is to track down the man who kidnapped Peng. The detective now has to provide justice to Peng, but they also have limited time. Only 19 hours were left. Now to bring justice to Peng, Kuang and Li head to the same building where Peng was kidnapped a year ago. There they meet Mijin, Li's old neighbor. Kuang starts questioning her about the kidnapping, but Mijin excuses herself to get some water for her guest. Just then, the phone rings and Li picks it up. On the phone, a man says he's there to fix the computer and asks Lee to open the door. She does that, but the moment she hears his voice, something feels off. It sounds exactly like the voice she heard from the kidnapper a year ago. That thought makes her freeze for a moment, but then she also remembers seeing a computer repair guy in the building back then as well. His name was Ashan. Lee starts to suspect that maybe Ashan is the kidnapper. A few minutes later, Ashan walks into Mish's apartment and it was clear he was the same guy from a year ago. Lee tells Kuang everything and Kuang goes to question Ashan, but there was no solid evidence, so they couldn't do anything. Then Luo gets this information and that's why he goes to Ishan's shop to investigate. There, he notices several dolls that look exactly like the one belonging to Peng. Maybe it could mean that Ishan was the kidnapper and Ishan gave one of those dolls to Peng. After this, Luo starts talking to Ishan's business partner, but suddenly, the man panics and runs away. Luo chases after him and manages to catch him. Soon, Kuang and Lee arrive there as well. Ashan's partner insists that he didn't unalive anyone. He says that he was abroad last year and he even shows proof. He explains that he only ran because he got scared, and now it was clear if Ashan's partner was innocent, then it means Ashan might be the real unaliver. After this, the detectives and Lee start keeping a close watch on Ashan. They dig into his background as well and find out that as a kid, Ashan was bullied for playing with dolls. But that wasn't all. He also had a serious criminal record. Meanwhile, Ashan himself is shown acting completely unhinged, which confirms that he is the unaliver, and now the detectives just need to catch him. Back at the auntie's house, Huang's spirit now refuses to leave auntie's body. He says he won't move until his daughter kidnapper is caught, and he also reassures that Dongdo is still alive. Meanwhile, Kuang sneaks into Ashan's house and he finds strange, creepy dolls everywhere. On the other hand, out on the road, Luo and Lee follow Ashan to a deserted place, and it turns out to be the same location the auntie had seen in her vision. Luo searches the area and soon finds Ashan, and he was playing with dolls. Luo points his gun at him, but Ashan attacks and runs away. He hides for a bit, but when Luo lets his guard down, Ashan grabs him from behind and starts choking him. At the same time, Kuang discovers some creepy footage from Ashan's house. In those videos, Ashan was playing house with Peng, meaning he kidnapped her to play with her like she's one of his dolls, meaning this guy is completely unhinged. Meanwhile, after fighting, Ashan locks Luo inside a room and he leaves, but soon after, Lee finds Luo and she frees him. Now, as Lee was untying him, she spots a young girl outside the window begging for help. It means Ashan has kidnapped more than one girl. Lee rushes to help her, but before she can do anything, Ashan suddenly shows up and Lee hides just in time. Ashan drags the girl away, but Lee waits for the right moment to act. Soon after, Lee looks around the place and she finds that girl sitting in a room. Lee sneaks into that room to help the girl, but the look on that girl's face says it all. Ashan was there as well, and he was waiting for Lee. Then suddenly, Ashan came from behind the gate and attacks Lee out of nowhere. He starts beating her, but Lee tries to escape, throwing things at him to defend herself. But then, the kidnapped girl tries to hit Ashan with a stick, which obviously doesn't do much. This makes Ashan furious and he turns his anger towards the girl. He was about to unalive both the girl and Lee when Luo shows up from behind and knocks Ashan unconscious. After this, the little girl is sent to the hospital and Ashan gets arrested. He confesses that he was the one who kidnapped Peng a year ago, and after getting bored of her, he unalived her and threw her body into the river. This finally confirms that the girl in that red bag was Peng. After this, Chen is called to the police station and she told everything. When she sees her daughter's dead body and photos, she couldn't stop crying. But at least now her daughter Peng has finally gotten justice. Now, even after being arrested, Ashan was still with Luo, Kuang, and Lee because those three were going to meet with Huang's spirit first. Meanwhile, Auntie's son tells Huang's spirit that his daughter Pen's body is found, and that's why immediately Huang leaves Auntie's body and he goes to find his daughter's spirit. Then by the time Lee arrives, Huang is already gone. Lee brings unconscious Ashan to Auntie and tells her that she found the unaliver, but when she learns that Huang's spirit has already left Auntie's body, she breaks down even more, realizing she has no way of finding her daughter now. Luckily, Auntie tells her that Huang's spirit texted her Dongdo's location to her phone before leaving. This is kinda funny to be honest. Now with this address, Lee, Luo and Kuang rush there with unconscious Ashan to save Dongdo. On the way, Ashan wakes up and starts trying to unlock his handcuffs. Meanwhile, Dongdo has almost completely sunk into the sand because it's been 48 hours. Soon the detectives and Lee arrive at the address and they start searching for Dongdo. When Lee spots the giant sand clock, she runs toward it and starts digging, thinking Dongdo is inside, but instead it was just a doll. Right then, the detectives find Dongdo lying unconscious in another corner. Turns out, Huang's spirit had already saved Dongdo before she could die. Back in the car, Ashan manages to break free and he knocks Kuang unconscious, who was keeping an eye on him. Ashan escapes and he grabs the gun, but suddenly, someone came from behind Ashan and that person knocks Ashan out and takes the gun. Later, as Lee and Luo are leaving the building with Dongdo, Chen appears in front of him, holding Ashan and Kuang at gunpoint. She is there for revenge for her husband's and daughter's deaths, and she wants to unalive Ashan. The detectives try to stop her, but in her rage, Chen shoots Ashan in the leg. Now to stop Chen, Luo shoots her in the hand. Both Chen and Ashan collapse injured, and later that night, Dongdo is taken to the hospital and both Chen and Ashan are arrested. The case is finally solved and the movie ends here. In the post-credit scene, after getting out of the jail, Chen goes to the auntie for help and she makes auntie contact her daughter's spirit again, but it was too late. What was she even doing there? Anyway, what's done is done. In the end, Chen learns that it was Lee who opened the door for the kidnapper that day. And just like her husband, Chen is consumed with even more anger and maybe she will plot another revenge, but there's no second part. So this was it. Now this was the recap video on the movie Kidnapped Soul and I give this movie a 4 out of 10. It was really just an okay movie. I don't recommend watching this one. But if you have liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram to talk to me personally. To get updates about this channel, go join my Telegram and also subscribe my mystery channel. I thank you all to watch this video. Stay safe, stay happy and stay alert because they always see you.